Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms. At some point, your real estate business may grow beyond you. In fact, maybe it already has. So how is it that you scale as you grow? We're going to talk today about the importance of organizing your real estate business so that it can scale and flourish. There's a lot to it, but we've got a great guest today on the Real Estate Guys radio program. If you've been listening to the Real Estate Guys for a while, then you've heard about the legendary Investor Summit. Simply put, it's the highest level event we do, and the content, faculty, and attendees are amazing. If you're serious about taking your real estate investing to the next level, then join us next summer. You'll spend an entire week with like-minded investors, world-class educators, and real-world professionals, and you'll have a blast. It all begins June 6, 2023 in Ambergris Caye, Belize. Visit realestateguysradio.com and click on the tab that says Summit to learn more and reserve your spot. We'll spend a sun-drenched week learning and networking with more than 25 class sessions and breakouts, plus small format roundtable discussions, great dinner conversations, and a ton of fun. It's nearly 70% full already, but there's room for you if you go to realestateguysradio.com and click Summit and make plans to spend a week with the Real Estate Guys and an all-star faculty on the 21st Annual Investors Summit on Sand. Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms. Joining me, as usual, it's our co-host and financial strategist, Russell Gray.
Hey, Robert.
You may have a real estate business that you don't even think of as a business. Maybe you already have a job or a business and you invest in real estate on the side, or maybe you've gotten to the point where you have enough real estate holdings that it's starting to feel like a business, and we always say to treat it like a business, but you may even want to get to that next step, which is to create a true business. And I think no matter what you do in real estate, whether it's short-term rentals or real estate syndication or just buying houses every year to build a financial portfolio, it makes sense to think about who and how you're going to expand your business.
Yeah, when I first started out my business career, I was a 20-year-old sales guy in Silicon Valley, and my sales manager gave me a book, Organizing for Better Selling. And the argument he made, and this is a good one for salespeople in particular who tend to be very relationship, very experiential. I think the old adage about how salespeople are terrible at paperwork because it's just not very stimulating is really a cliche or a stereotype that is drawn from real life. And so the emphasis was on organizing yourself. And one of my hallmarks, one of the reasons I was successful early when I didn't really have any experience or sales skills, is I was really good at time management. I was really good at processes. I could produce consistent results, and people really liked it. Now, it took me a long time to understand how to take that beyond my own personal productivity. And that's really the difference between being a personal producer and owning a business. But it doesn't matter. I was selling office supplies. I went on to sell insurance, and then I got into the mortgage business. And of course, then I met you, Robert, and we got involved in syndication. We got involved in seminars. We got involved in all kinds of different real estate related activities. And what they all had in common is that at some point you had to begin to operate and think about getting things done more effectively, more efficiently, and also through other people.
Well, that's such a huge distinction that many, I would say most real estate investors, they might hire a property manager, and they're certainly going to put together some teammates like we talked about last week on the program. If you haven't heard that show, go back and make sure you do. But they pretty much run the organization. They're a one-man or one-woman band. They're looking for properties. They're out scouting the neighborhoods. They're looking through listings. They're making appointments. They're doing all that stuff. And at some point in anything, you do have to offload some of the work. You use the example of salespeople not being, naturally disposed to organization. I think the same is true for a lot of real estate investors. They're all excited by the deal and the property and getting it all figured out and getting the financing together. And then when it comes to running the business, maybe not so much. I think the thing you want to do today, because we have a great guest that helps people get organized, especially for real estate businesses, but really any business, is think about what your business will look like in 5 to 10 years. Is it still going to be you running the business, painting the rooms when they come up, showing properties to prospective tenants? I mean, maybe that works for you. Or do you envision more of a hands-off approach where you've got these teams. And it's strategic that we're talking about this week, since last week we talked about who you have on your team and who you need to have on your team, depending on where the property is, what skills you already have, and even what relationships you already have. Most of us don't know what to do next. It usually manifests as, I'm totally overwhelmed. I got my business to the point that it's going well. We're making sales. Things are rocking, but I'm now working 80 or 100 or more hours a week, and I just need help.
Yeah, well, this is what Michael Gerber wrote the E-Myth book about. So it's a classic business book. It's a must-read for anybody in any business. And it's the notion that you're working in your business, busy taking care of everything that needs to be done, like a little hamster on a wheel. And by the time you realize you need help, you're already at 90, 100, 110% of capacity. You're burning out. And then you just throw the problems at somebody and you ask them to figure it out. And one of the things that I've learned is that people who are good at doing things aren't great at organizing things. And people who are great at organizing things get bored of doing them. When you go try to hand something off to somebody, you tell them the result you want, and what they're looking for is how to do it. You know, Dan Sullivan at Strategic Coach, classic business coach. We hear so many great success stories of people that work with him. He has this book out called Who, Not How. A lot of times as sole practitioners, as solopreneurs, we want to know how to do something. We take classes, we read books, we get mentors, coaches, we hire technical advisors, we watch YouTube videos, we listen to podcasts, and we're trying to figure out, how do I do this? And we had a friend, very successful friend, Robert, as you know, who used to always say, how can I get someone else to do this for me? And it was such a paradigm shift to be around him and watch the way he could get things done, because he never tried to figure out how to do it. He tried to figure out who could do it for him. And the only how he had to figure out was how to pay them to do it. And that shift is really the difference maker. It's in, we're mixing up a lot of great teachers here, but in Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant, he's got the E and the S, the B and the I. The E and the S are employees and self-employed people. These are people who trade time for dollars. The people on the B and the I side, the business owners and the investors, are people that own things that pay them to own them. And it's a very different mindset. A lot of solopreneurs say, oh, I own a business. No, you don't. You own a job. Owning a business is owning a collection of peoples and processes and systems and things that operate even when you're not there. It's kind of the holy grail in business, and it's the hardest leap to go from S, self-employed person, to B, and most of us are going to need help to get there. I know I have, and I have someone special in my life who has always helped me organize the businesses so that they demand less of my time as they get bigger, not more.
Well, an organization does come naturally to some folks. There are people that are good at that. That's part of their gifting. But for most of us, we need some help. And I would say even if you're naturally organized, there are some standards, if you will, some ways that business people approach organization that might be a little different. If you looked at my desk, you wouldn't think I was that organized, but I'm always able to find everything. The example I like to use is I travel a lot. And I don't just throw a bunch of stuff randomly in my suitcase, because if I do that, then when I get to my destination and I need something, I open the suitcase. It looks like the clothes fairy threw up in there, and now I have to dig around and find it. When I travel, I'm super organized. I know exactly where everything is. When I get to the hotel, I put everything out. I know right what's there. I make sure I don't forget anything. I have a checklist for that, right? It's a natural organization for success. And the good news is you don't have to think much about it once you have that system. The challenge is if you're the kind of person that just throws stuff in a suitcase, using that metaphor in your business, well, you're going to be glad you tuned in today. We've got a great guest who started out with us many, many years ago and has been around the Real Estate Guys for lots of years. She helps people do exactly this, get organized so they can do more. When we come back, you'll meet our great friend, Staci Gray, today on the Real Estate Guys radio program.
Live nationwide, you're listening to the Real Estate Guys. Find out more at realestateguysradio.com.
If you love real estate and have always wanted to own your own business, listen up. The Real Estate Guys and their panel of experts want to teach you how to go full-time fast in the real estate syndication business. These next few years may go down in history as one of the best times ever to acquire investment real estate. There are deals everywhere if you know where to look and how to assemble the resources. The Secrets of Successful Syndication seminar will show you how to make big money doing big deals from a team of experts that have syndicated projects totaling more than $1 billion. Don't wait for someone to give you a raise or create a job for you. Attend the Secrets of Successful Syndication and learn how to build a team, raise capital, find deals, and make full-time money in 6 months or less. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events. All the big players use syndication as a way to diversify risk, optimize profits, and earn big money. You can too. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events.
As I speak, inflation is robbing you at a rate north of 10%. Last year, the number one zip code that Mid-South homebuyers offered income property to Real Estate Guys listeners in appreciated by 21%. To harness that spread and protect and grow your wealth in the current economic storm, you need the 2 decades of experience in renovation and management that Mid-South homebuyers brings to their investors. Every home Mid-South offers you will have brand new components, a new 30-year roof, and a high-quality renter, all in a price range under $150,000. Their empathetic property managers will use your ROI as their North Star, while the lack of repairs on their totally renovated properties contributes to their almost 4-year average renter stay and 99% occupancy rate. Learn about their lifetime occupancy guarantee and total 1-year maintenance guarantee by emailing midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. That's midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hello, this is Robert Kiyosaki. I'm the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you're serious about learning how to invest in real estate, listen to the Real Estate Guys. They really know what they're talking about.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, heard every weekend on this great radio station and all the time at realestateguysradio.com. And of course, all your favorite podcast outlets. We're talking about organizing your business at whatever level that is so that you can scale to the next level. And to help us with that discussion, please welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, Staci Gray. Hey, Staci.
Hey there. It's great to be here.
Well, it's always great to have you with us, and you come to a lot of events. You certainly help us out in a lot of our processes. Tell us how this became something you got attracted to doing, helping people organize.
This is such a timely question and time of the recording of this as well. So how Organized to Scale came to be is actually because my father was very much trapped in the businesses that he had. And then my mother got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he called me saying, I need help. I need processes and people to run this business so I have time to be with her. And thankfully, we had the ability to come in and architect the structure we needed, build the essential infrastructure, and put the right people in place to run the business. So not only did it scale, it became more profitable. The performance of everything we were doing became more efficient and effective. And then we had the capacity and freedom to be with my mother when she took her last breath, sadly, and she would have been 63 the day this episode is releasing. So it's just so powerful how things align. But the passion I have for organizing businesses to scale is most entrepreneurs set out to build businesses to create freedom. And they end up trapped in the very businesses designed to create their freedom. Organizing your infrastructure in your team allows your businesses to truly create that freedom for you.
You know, if folks haven't connected the dots already, the reason that you've been around the Real Estate Guys for so long is that your dad is Russell Gray.
Yes.
Which is why I'm interviewing you today. But Russ has always been relatively organized in the way he approaches time, the way he cleans off his desk and those things. But he was exactly that at that point where it was overwhelming. He had this life change and needed to have his time directed in a completely different place. And so this was a great opportunity for you to step in. And once you figured out you could do it for us, well, gosh, now you started doing it for other people.
Yeah. So we were able to successfully do it for y'all during that time. And given your amazing community of real estate investors and syndicators, they started witnessing how the businesses that we had started transforming with this organizational structure and started asking us to do it for them. And that's really how OTS became to be something that we could offer to people beyond our family businesses. And now we've been able to take syndicators who had this passion and idea to be able to help their fellow investors invest in Main Street and not Wall Street, but had the idea, but didn't really have the path forward to actually turn their idea into a real business that was profitable, that could scale. And now we're able to come alongside those people, figure out what their why is, why they want to start this syndication business, what their impact on the world is, and then marry that with infrastructure that can really propel them in that direction.
Well, and we've seen just astonishing results from folks who are kind of like the people we've explained. They're good at being with people. They're good at pitching deals. They're good at finding real estate opportunity, but they're not quite sure where the contract is, sitting on their desk. And so the organization piece is absolutely fundamental, especially if you want to grow your business. Not everybody does, but lots of folks do. And I think part of it is just understanding that I only can see so much. If I've spent 5 years building my business to where it is right now, maybe I have a part-time person that works for me and some vendors and a VA, I can't see further than that, but because you work with a lot of businesses, that gives you this perspective as well. So take us through, from the mindset point of view, what does an entrepreneur need to do to get out of their own way and get organized?
Yes. Well, I think first acknowledging that the fundamentals of scaling a business, as Zig Ziglar says, you don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business.
Yeah.
And when we realize we do have to work through people in order to get our message out there and in order to scale, that is such a huge mindset shift for many visionaries, especially the ones who get trapped because they think, oh, I can do it better. I can do it faster. It's quicker for me to just quickly do this task. And then they end up on that hamster wheel because they're stuck with just putting out fires versus planning ahead. And the most successful visionaries are strategic. They think 5 moves ahead. They know that if I make this move, then my next move is going to be this, and my next move is going to be this. And so they're in a position to achieve what they want to achieve. So that mindset shift for them. And then also, we all have unique gifts and strengths and talents. Not everybody is wired, like you were saying earlier, to be organized. Not everyone's wired to be the salesperson. Not everyone's wired to be the people person. So when you're really clear on what your sweet spot is within your company and you can live in that sweet spot, you're energized, you're more excited, you're more innovative, which also propels the growth of your company. And then when you surround yourself with team members who are in their sweet spot, who are wired to be organized, to do all the admin clerical work, who do all the investor relations, who build the systems, and you put those people in place, magic happens.
When you have a business, it is an extension of you, your personality, what you're trying to get done, and you have this vision, and that's the visionary you speak of, the person that has this idea of what they want their business to do in the world. But not everybody at a business is a visionary. You need people that do the other work. So talk about the nature of those types of people, because I think sometimes visionaries think everyone's a visionary who wants to do the paperwork.
Yes. I think that's so true. I think that was one of the things why we get trapped is we think people are like us and we ask them to do something. And then we realize they are not executing the way we execute and they're not like us. So we need to equip those people to really do the thing that they need to do. So the structure we take people through is a 3-step process, and it's very similar to real estate. So we architect the business. You begin with the end in mind. What do you want this business to do for you? What do you want it to do for the community? What do you want it to do for you financially? And we architect and blueprint the business. Then that blueprint has to be built. And so we have to hand it off to people who can build the blueprint, just like real estate, where you would hand off the blueprint to a contractor or construction team who actually builds the infrastructure.
Yep.
And then that gets transferred to people who actually live in the house and take care of it and maintain it. 3 very different types of people. And one of the mistakes that we've made early on is taking people who just wanted to live in a house and maintain it and operate it and ask them to architect it or ask them to construct it. And they're just not wired that way. So when we need the people who can actually build the systems, how do you onboard an investor? How do they sign documents? How do they wire funds? How do you present your deal? How do you create a pitch deck? all of those things are the building of it. And then you have the workflow of it, which is once somebody expresses interest, do they sign the NDA? Does it walk them through the entire funnel so that then at the end of it, they've wired funds and you're giving them updates on the deal and you're giving them distributions. That's a set of people that operate that side of it. And when you architect it on the front end, you're aware of that flow from start to finish. And when you don't architect it, what ends up happening is you experience a situation where, okay, this new thing happened. We've got this great deal and we need investors. Okay, where are all our investors? They're in my phone, they're in my inbox, and you can't actually execute very quickly because you don't have the structure in place ahead of time to make it easy for you to turn your deal into an actual syndication.
I love the framework for this because I think people in any business that try to scale often stumble when it comes to hiring help. And that's because they didn't architect first and they didn't design infrastructure and put systems in place. They just went straight to step number 3. Let's get some people in here to help. And it's really difficult if you're already overwhelmed to then get unburied by handing things off to other folks. What you're suggesting is long before you make your first hire, you figure out what are the things that are the processes in our business, and then how are we going to set up the system so that now we can bring in people to do those things.
Yes. In an ideal world, but we all know business is messy. In an ideal world, you would architect it first and you would never make that first hire until all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've already started a business and you are in that overwhelmed state, there's something beautiful that you have that you may not realize. You have proof of concept. You know that what you have, you can sell. And that's powerful because when you can sell, you can fund and figure out the rest of it. Ken McElroy says sales solves most problems. And this, when you have that, you can really dig in and figure it out. Now, it is definitely better if you were to architect it first before you start putting people in place, because what ends up happening is you think you'll end up having a revolving door with people, and you'll think you have a people problem when in fact you actually have a process problem.
Yeah. And
then when you fix the process problem, it's amazing how much more productive people are, and you don't have a revolving door with people. And you know, we figured this all out the hard way. So a lot of what we're sharing here and what we do at Organize to Scale is to prevent a lot of the heartache that we've experienced and then collapse the timeframes. So the impact for the people we work with is less painful in terms of the delays, but also more financially rewarding faster.
Well, and that's the great thing about having been there before. If you think about businesses, you've heard the statistic that 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And in the next 5 years, there's a chunk that continue to fail. If you make it past 10 years, you're not guaranteed, but you're in rare air. That doesn't say anything about growing or scaling or continuing or changing the business, and those things can have an effect too. But if you're out there to build a business and you don't know what you're trying to build, it's like a home builder going, all right, I'm ready to build a house, and here's the lot, and there's a pile of wood, and I got my guys. Where are the plans? Well, I thought you had the plans, right? There are no plans, and there wasn't an architect, and that would be crazy. You would never do that. And yet so many people do. Look at the franchise model. The reason people are interested in buying a franchise, which usually costs a lot of money and has a lot involved in doing it, background checks and the like, is because franchises, compared to non-franchise businesses, tend to do better, last longer, and have a higher success rate. Not because of some magic logo, but because they have this. They have systems and processes. They've been there a long time. They know what's worked and hasn't. Some trial and error, some from their franchisees. And so why what you offer isn't a franchise. What it does is let you run your business almost like you had one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What you just said was the magical word. It's a system. And when you can plug a business into a system, you can create predictable results that are less costly. And your mention of not a blueprint and all of that. So oftentimes another thing that people do, and again, we've done this, is we go try to pick up a tool. And there's so many tools that are out there now in the marketplace, this CRM, this website builder, this investor portal, and we start going out trying to figure out, okay, this tool is going to solve my problem. And I liken it to using a calculator. A calculator is a great tool, but unless you know how to do math longhand, then the calculator is not going to be much use to you. And the same is true in business. If you don't have that system outlined and documented, you could go get all the tools and all the people in the world, but they are not going to be able to actually fulfill what you want because there is no structure or system. And there's so much strength in structure. And that's one of the things that a lot of us maverick entrepreneurs revolt against, because we love just the innovation and fly by the seat of our pants and fire and then aim. And it gets us started. And that energy is so necessary for entrepreneurship. However, it won't take you the entire way. And so when you do put the systems in place, the up leveling that happens is fantastic.
Many visionaries are able to deal with chaos and all that stuff, and they're, storming and forming and doing all that craziness. But who doesn't deal well with that is the people you hire to help. They need that structure. They need to know what do they do and how do they do it and when do they do it and so forth. And so you have a lot of folks that are in real estate that understand the basics. I mean, they know that we have a repeatable process in real estate. It seems to be the perfect kind of business, whether you're in brokerage or development or buy and hold real estate, or especially our sweet spot, syndication. It really is doing the same thing every day. And the old definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. When you put systems in your business, you are craving the same result. You want to have results, and that's why these systems are so important. Now, I know you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and many of them have this resistance you talked about. So take us through how you help people that are like, they're not ready to be put into a system. You've got to take them and show them that it actually does make it easier, cheaper, and more profitable.
Well, the good thing for me is a lot of times by the time people come to us, they've already experienced a lot of pain by not having systems.
Yep.
So they're excited to go. They're like, I cannot keep going the way I've been going. This is not working. Something has got to change. And so they're very eager to get the systems in place. The folks that aren't yet at that aha moment where they realize they cannot go any bigger unless they create systems, sometimes the mindset shift is a little bit more challenging because they haven't had their teeth knocked in by the real world of business growth that takes place when you don't have systems. We do share our lessons openly about the things that we've learned and the mistakes we've made and the pain points we've had, so people can live vicariously through us instead of having to experience it themselves as well.
Well, let's face it, every step in a business owner's journey is taking what you've learned up until then and then trying to get to that next level. And you can do that on your own. It's just a slow, painful, to your point, process. This is a way to collapse those time frames, just to shorten it up. And why beat your head against the wall when you can figure out other people that have come before? We're talking about organizing your business in order for it to grow and scale. Our guest is Staci Gray. We'll come back with more from Staci, and we'll play real estate trivia next. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Real estate investment advice right in your mailbox. Sign up for the free Real Estate Guys newsletter at realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, it's Robert Helms. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. I want to personally invite you to come see an amazing real estate market that combines excellent cash flow, offshore diversification, and what we affectionately call lifestyle investing. Come join me from May 5th through 8th in the beautiful country of Belize. The Real Estate Guys have been bringing investors to Belize for more than 18 years now, and our discovery trip is designed to show you the market like nobody else can. Sure, Belize is breathtakingly beautiful, the people are wonderful, and wait till you taste the food. But the real opportunity is the real estate investment potential. There's all types of opportunity in Belize when it comes to real estate investing, including both long-term and short-term rentals, commercial and retail triple net properties, business opportunities, land acquisition, development, agriculture, and more. And as the only country in Latin America with English as its official language, it's easy to understand the law. Property rights are strong, and contracts are in English. And at Ambergris Caye, a unique situation exists where demand for rentals continues to outstrip supply, creating a compelling environment for investors. So come see for yourself. Join me May 5th through 8th in Ambergris Caye, Belize as we study the market, learn about sustainable drivers, and tour lots of beautiful real estate. And like all of our field trips, there are no properties for sale during the weekend. Rather, you'll meet lots of local providers that will help educate you about the market so you can follow up with them after the trip if the market is interesting to you. You've heard about Belize and the Real Estate Guys for all these years. Now come see what all the excitement is about. Plus, we'll have lots of time over meals and activities to talk about all things real estate. To get the details, go to the website at realestateguysradio.com and click on Events, where you'll find the Belize Discovery Trip. Once you register, you'll get information about our group hotel rates as well as travel details. So join me in Belize May 5th through 8th. It's a beautiful country with lots of amazing possibilities, and the only thing missing is you. Go to realestateguysradio.com under Events, and I look forward to seeing you in beautiful Belize.
Hey, I'm Jim Grant. I'm the editor and indeed the founder of Grant's Interest Rate Observer, and you, ladies and gentlemen, you lucky people, are listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks for tuning into the show. Hey, if you ever wanted to do bigger deals using other people's money, or if you want to passively invest aside awesome real estate investors that have great experience and deal flow, come on out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication. It's our 2-day workshop on real estate team investing, what we call syndication. It happens twice a year. The next one is the end of March 2023 in Dallas, Texas. All the details on the website at realestateguysradio.com under Events. We're talking about organizing your business so that you can scale, and we've got Staci Gray with us. Before we get back to the interview, it's time to play Real Estate Trivia. That's your chance to win a prize by knowing today's Real Estate Trivia question. As soon as you hear the question and think you know the answer, send your best guess to trivia at realestateguysradio.com. That's trivia at realestateguysradio.com. You'll need to send us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address. The first person that gets it right gets an incredible book called Passionistas, Tips, Tales, and Tweetables from Women Pursuing Their Dreams. You're going to love it, and it can be yours if you know today's real estate trivia question. Last week, we were talking about putting together your real estate team, investing as a team sport. We asked this: where in the U.S. would you find Bat Cave? Well, Bat Cave is in North Carolina. This unincorporated community in western North Carolina got its name not from the superhero's home, but from the variety of bats that make their home in a cave on Blue Rock Mountain. And it's not just any cave, it's North America's largest known granite fissure cave, protected by the Nature Conservancy. That is bat crazy. Here's our real estate trivia question for this week. Name the tallest building in the state of Florida. Yeah, of all the buildings, and if you think about some of the cities in Florida, there are some tall buildings. Which is the tallest one? If you know, or just want to guess, send your best guess to trivia at realestateguysradio.com. Trivia at realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, your guess, and your mailing address. The first person that gets it right gets Passionistas, Tips, Tales, and Tweetables from Women Pursuing Their Dreams. That's today's real estate trivia question. We're talking about getting organized. You know you need to do it, and in reality, it's a process. It takes time, but it is worth it. We're talking with Staci Gray from Organize to Scale. That's the name of her business, and that's what she helps people do. Now, Staci, I know that you have to slow people down to go faster. Having talked to a lot of the folks that you work with, you make them stop what they're doing, sit down for a big chunk of time and go through the process. Explain that part of it and why it's so important, because no two businesses are exactly alike, even though they're similar.
Yes. So we start with that architect phase. So wherever they're at, even if they've already got their business going, or even if they're just getting started, the great thing about the 3-day experiences and the architect phases we've done thus far is they've been with real estate syndicators and people who also have businesses related to real estate, like you were mentioning earlier. And we take them through a process over 3 days that helps them architect their business. And then also we have a lot of best practices of businesses in syndication and businesses in real estate, because we're very focused on helping people in that world. And during a 3-day strategic planning session, we walk people through architecting from what is your sweet spot as the visionary? What lane do you want to be in within your business? If you woke up in 10 years and you were super excited every day you just did this, what would that be? And I'm not talking about like an umbrella drink at your resort in Belize, like actually within your business. Do you want to be the brand ambassador? Do you want to be the one jet setting around looking at deals? Do you want to be penciling performas? What does that look like for you? And just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should do everything. So really being radically honest with yourself about what your sweet spot is, and then figuring out in 10 years what the vision is. Do you want ATM machines, and do you want to be the Dave Zook of syndication, or what does that look like for you? And then paring that all the way down to everything that needs to be done in order to achieve it, and then what you're actually going to focus on in the next 90 days. And sometimes that, if you've already got a syndication business going, sometimes that means improving some of the infrastructure and the foundation of what you had built, because it really isn't strong enough to carry you the rest of the way. And sometimes if you don't have it built, it's just building the MVP, the minimum viable product, just what you need to get launched, and then ratchet up your infrastructure as you scale to help manage cash flow.
You know, in real estate development, the architect, a good architect, is going to listen, and they're going to ask a lot of questions, and they're going to try to find out what the person who's getting the house or building built is trying to accomplish. And then they start to work on these various components. So it's very similar to that. And yet I know you do have people that are literally trying to build the plane while it's taking off. They're already in deals. They're overwhelmed, and that's why they're bringing you on. Talk about that process and helping people get unburied while they set up these systems.
Yes, we call this triage.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm overwhelmed, but I've got 10 deals going on right now, and the vehicle is moving 100 miles per hour down the road, and we've got to make it all happen while we're moving.
Yeah.
So we try to parse things. So there's sometimes when you're in that state as a visionary where you're overwhelmed and you're drowning and it just feels like everything's caving in, but you've got all of these responsibilities. And especially in a syndication business, you're dealing with people's livelihoods. There's a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you're doing it right. So we have to parse it. What part of this can we truly just pause? And then what part of it do we really have to address immediately? And then who do we have, going back to Russ's point earlier, who not how, who do we have that we can plug in to get the team distributed instead of it being like a bunch of 5-year-olds playing soccer where everyone's actually running to the ball, but no one's playing it or actually scoring. So we parse it, and then we get clear on focusing each person on the thing that is going to move the needle the most for the biggest pain points, and then tied to usually what's going to increase revenue the fastest and keep expenses in control while we get things organized, so then we can unleash everybody to truly scale.
So if it's just you right now in your business, then that's awesome. You can take the time and you can architect it and you can figure out infrastructure and make your first hire correctly. But most people aren't going to recognize they need this help until they get to a certain point. I know you've worked with obviously a lot of real estate syndicators, but also construction companies, developers, real estate brokerages. Imagine someone comes to you and they already have a dozen employees and they haven't built the systems, or at least they haven't built the right kinds of systems. How much tear down is involved? You know, you think about architecting a new building and that makes sense, but what if they've got a fixer-upper? They've already got some architecture and structure. How do you break that down to help them get to that next level?
Well, I guess just like in real estate, you figure out what you can salvage and what you can't.
Yeah.
And then you keep what you can, and what you can't, you bring in new. And we do the same thing, you know, and when it comes to people, you mentioned having 12 people. I firmly believe most people want to show up, do a good job, contribute, add value, go home at night, feeling fulfilled by the work that they did and feeling like they made a difference. And I do feel like it's our responsibility as leaders of our organizations to provide that to people. A lot of, even rehab home, sometimes those tenants don't like that their toilet doesn't flush or that there's termites and all of those things. And as a landlord, it's our responsibility to provide good homes for people to live in. And the same is true with our companies. Most people spend most of their days and hours in their entire life building our businesses. And so we have a responsibility to create an environment that allows them to flourish and achieve what they want to achieve in their life while they're helping us achieve what we want to achieve in our lives. And so you, going full circle, you parse it again to what can we save? What can't we save? How can we mentor and develop the people we have? And how can we backfill them with proven processes and systems that help support them in being in their sweet spot?
Sometimes people get to a point they're like, I'm just going to fire everybody and start over. But happily, it sounds like you don't always have to do that, although I'm sure sometimes there's someone who isn't on the the right seat on the right bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about what's happened in your business, because ironically, one of the things you've had to do in your own business is scale it and bring on people. And that's got you in a really good place of knowing how to hire and so on. Tell us some of the stories about clients that have come along and either it's gone really well or it hasn't, and maybe some of the lessons learned there.
Yeah. We were scaling through COVID and the stimulus checks. And so any other entrepreneurs out there who were doing the same thing, staffing was challenging, people's just emotional grit because of the political climate and COVID was already tapped. So any pressure a startup company would have put on them was just too much. So there was a lot of just that types of thing, those sort of things going on. So we've worked with some clients who really leaned into becoming better leaders and doubled down on the things that they did well, learned how to stay in their lane, leaned into the systems and processes. I'm thinking of one in particular. I think he more than quadrupled how much he was raising in his syndication business. And then we've also had experiences where even with all the right team, the right systems, and the right structure, if the leader, the visionary, doesn't get out of their own way and is limiting the growth, then it hurts everything. I often say that mastering your business is directly tied to mastering yourself. And who you have to become has to evolve and transform. And that's kind of the ugly part, the dirty part that no entrepreneur wants to hear. They want to hear that they can just pay, they can raise the money, they can hire someone to do it, and they don't have to lean into that side of facing their demons. But we all have to face our demons in order to get the businesses to grow to a level. It will grow to the level of which you've grown.
Yes, it will. Albert Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created the problem. Mm-hmm. And if they're coming to you with a problem, they just got to rearrange their thoughts a little bit. But I know you're great at shepherding people through that. In fact, you put out a report for folks that are interested in this thing and are thinking, hey, I'd like to scale my business. The report's called 4 Tips for Quickly Organizing Your Syndication Business to Scale. And specifically, it is for syndicators, but I think there's a lot of great high notes here for anybody in business. Tell us about the report.
Yeah, so it's 4 tips that we've learned on how to help syndicators truly scale their businesses. But it's, like you mentioned, so valuable for anyone in business. The first step is getting really clear on what you want to achieve and do and who you're serving and why. Simon Sinek says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And when you're clear on that, you're creating a movement. If you believe what I believe, come with me. And that is so powerful. And it's also, most entrepreneurs, money isn't enough of a motivator to keep you sticking with what it takes to actually build and scale a business. But when you are mission minded and you know what you're doing and you're clear about it, that carries you so much further. And then the second point is just really creating those processes to support that vision. So you have those systems in place. And then it's also getting those people plugged in to those systems to really pull all those levers so you are not trapped in your business. And then it's getting out of your own way and taking that massive action towards scaling your business.
The report is called 4 Tips for Quickly Organizing Your Syndication Business to Scale. If you'd like to get a copy of it, just send an email to scale@realestateguysradio.com, scale@realestateguysradio.com. And Staci, I know you're working on a video and a webinar and some other things that folks will get if they send an email to you. Plus, they'll get your contact details. That's scale@realestateguysradio.com. If you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with Staci Gray, come on out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication. It happens March 24th and 25th in Dallas, Texas. She'll be there along with our all-star faculty. Staci, this has been great stuff. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me. I love talking with you.
There's the amazing Staci Gray from Organized to Scale. If you want to get her report, just a quick email to scale@realestateguysradio.com. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Need help with your real estate investment portfolio? Check out the resources page at realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, ever wished you could go back in time and do some tax planning? Now you can, just like Marty McFly. Lucky for you, a brand new federal law just made this possible with an EQRP to get tax deductions and reduce your taxable income from last year, so you can use that tax savings to invest in real estate, Bitcoin, gold, even your own business. Whether you're a full-time investor, doctor, government employee, even if you have 5 or 50 employees, the EQRP works and is your secret weapon, and now it's retroactive. Hey, I'm Damian Lupo, and we have your solution. By the way, if you got bad advice and used an IRA for an apartment syndication, you are sitting on a U-bit time bomb. But don't worry, there's a solution, the EQRP. The EQRP company is ready to help you get control of your money, kill U-bit, and help you pay way less taxes. Want to learn more about this strategy? Send an email to eqrp@realestateguysradio.com for my special EQRP report. Paying tax or letting Wall Street suck you dry is dumb. Your first step is freeing your retirement money by sending an email to eqrp@realestateguysradio.com today.
Stop for a moment. Why are you listening to this show? Are you dreaming of a bigger, brighter financial future? More personal freedom to live life on your own terms? What if there was just one skill that could make it happen? There is. Sales. Robert Kiyosaki says every entrepreneur must be good at sales. It's true for investors too. Sales is how you attract money, people, and opportunities. Sales is the skill used to negotiate deals and lead your team. Sales skills are essential to success. The good news is, it's a learnable skill. The great news is, we've created a 2-day interactive workshop to teach those skills to you. Make plans today to attend How to Win Funds and Influence People, Mastering the Art of Financial Selling. For dates and details, send an email to sales@realestateguysradio.com or visit realestateguysradio.com and look under events. Gain the skills you need to succeed. Email sales@realestateguysradio.com or look under the events tab at realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, this is John Assaraf, and you are listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you want to hang out with the Real Estate Guys and a tremendous group of people, well, then you need to get signed up for the 21st Annual Investor Summit on Sand. It takes place in June in beautiful Ambergris Caye, Belize. You can get all the details by going to the website at realestateguysradio.com. You'll see the button that says Summit. Come join us. We're talking today about organizing your business so that you can grow it, so that it'll be less headache and more fun and more profitable and all those things. And it is astonishing to see how well Staci has figured all this out.
It is. Of course, I'm a proud papa, and she's an extraordinary young woman. It's been fun to watch her career develop, and a lot of it has just been solving problems for me. She got out of high school, and I felt like she wasn't quite ready to go to college, so I had her apprenticing with us in business. And it's right about the time you and I got together, Robert. So you were there, you saw it. And I started giving her the task of organizing these out of control businesses because we were great at the front end. We had clients coming in and we had all kinds of activities and we were launching new businesses. And of course, she didn't have the skills she had now, but she had the mentality. She had that drive and she really, really was coachable. And so she literally has grown up in this space and she's got 20 plus years doing it. And it's really remarkable to watch the transformation, not just in her, but the way she transforms businesses. It's really hard to describe until you see it. Ken McElroy says, if you want to change your life, change the people you hang out with. I know that when I wanted to change my life, I went and started looking for a new tribe. Part of that was when I came to a Robert Helms seminar and met you. And then we went out and started working together and looking for people to associate with, to spend time with. We created an event, the summit you just mentioned, where we get a chance to hang out with these extraordinary people and other conferences that we attend and speak at. And so we are active both on the investing side side, but then on the business side, and we became enamored of syndication because we thought this is the holy grail. This is the opportunity where you don't have to wait for your own credit. You don't have to wait for your own money. You don't have to be the big earner. You don't have to have tons of savings. You have to have great relationships. You have to have the ability to go put a team together and make sure that everything happens. And it is a business of who, not how. And there's only a few things you have to be really good at to do it. And we built a whole program around that. And then to see people make that mental shift, because I think that that's the PowerPoint, that's the payoff. It's about transformation, not about information. Staci alluded to it right at the very end. It's how you think affects what you do, and what you do affects the results you produce. If you think the only way to make more money is to work harder, or if you think the only way to make more money is to work smarter, you'll reach a certain level. If you realize the only way to make more money in less time is to scale, it is a complete transformational belief system that changes everything else you do. And I see it happening for the folks in our syndication program. Certainly seen it happen with you and I hope that message comes through in this show loud and clear for people who are out there buried in their businesses, victims of their own success. There really is light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to transform.
Well, and this process really will work for virtually any business. And I love the mindset of architect it first, figure out what it's going to be when it's done, then put together the infrastructure and systems necessary, and then put the right people in the right places. That just makes a ton of sense, and that's true for any business. But I think especially with real estate syndication, if you've reached that point where you're kind of Fannie and Freddie'd out, or you've exhausted most of your own personal resources, but you could do more deals if you had more money, then syndication could be an excellent next step. It's why twice a year we do the Secrets of Successful Syndication. And two things have really juiced the results from that. So we've been doing the syndication event since 2011. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have come through the program. Many of those people have gone on to raise $10 million, $100 million, $500 million and more. And the two things are learning face-to-face, belly-to-belly consultative selling and organizing your business in a way that makes sense. And the great news is it's not rocket surgery. Not every syndicator has to completely reinvent the wheel. They can plug into what Staci has going on, and it's really beneficial. But we've seen the results of that, right? You and I will sit there and watch people who are floundering around. They're doing some deals, but they're not very efficient at it. They plug into Organize to Scale within a few months. Boom. It's just amazing to watch. If you're thinking syndication might be for you, we personally think it's the best, not just real estate opportunity, but business opportunity around. Well, it wouldn't hurt to check it out. So come on out and visit us in Dallas, Texas. It's the 24th and 25th of March, and it takes place in beautiful Dallas. If you're listening to the replay of this, we do this event twice a year. You can get to the website at realestateguysradio.com and find out where we'll be next. If you're interested in Staci's report, the 4 tips for quickly organizing your syndication business to scale, just send an email to scale@realestateguysradio.com. Big thanks to Staci Gray for sharing not only her time today, but her wonderful wisdom about doing this business the way she has. It's helping other people and making a difference. Until next week, go out and make some equity happen.
This episode of the Real Estate Guys radio show is brought to you by Paradigm Life. Powerful cash management strategies using life insurance. Learn more at beyourbank.com. Mid-South Home Buyers. Low-cost, turnkey cash flow properties in Memphis, Tennessee. Corporate Direct. Asset protection strategies for real estate investors from attorney and Rich Dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Find these and other great companies under the Resources tab at realestateguysradio.com. To learn how you can expose your product or service to the Real Estate Guys audience, call 888-489-7723 extension 4. That's 888-489-7723 extension 4. Or use the feedback page at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week right here on the Real Estate Guys radio show.